Et maintenant, merci d'accueillir chaleureusement le vice-président et responsable exécutif d'intégration de projet chez Walt Disney Imagineering Paris.
And now, please give a warm welcome to the Vice President and Portfolio Executive Project Integration at Walt Disney Imagineering Paris, David Wilson.
Thank you very much, and what an exciting day today at Disneyland Paris. I have the honor of leading the Imagineers here at Disneyland Paris, who created what you're here to see today, including the world of Frozen. But today we're going to have a nice discussion that's going to be very, very unique. We have on the stage with me today the leaders of Walt Disney Imagineering, but we also have the people who created the Frozen films and the music for Frozen. So we're going to have a very nice discussion between how we create things in 3D and the films. It's going to be a great discussion. So let's get started. I'd like to welcome to the stage first Bruce Vaughn, the President and Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Imagineering. Kyle Laughlin, who's the Senior Vice President for Research and Development, Technology and Engineering for Walt Disney Imagineering. A man who needs no introduction, Michelle Den-Dalk, the Executive Creative Director for Walt Disney Imagineering Paris. From the Walt Disney Animation Studios, we have Jennifer Lee, the writer and director of the Frozen films. And we have Trent Correy, her fellow director for Frozen 3. And Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who are the songwriters for the Frozen films. So my first question goes to you, Jennifer. It's been 12 years now since the original film came out. Was there a point in time when you realized it was going to be the smash sensation that it has become?
I think the whole journey has been wonderful surprises all the time. I mean, it's still continuing to surprise us. Look where we are. I think the one thing we were talking about this. We always like to say, what's something that we can bring you in a little to, you know, those days when it was just us. And we had there were two things. We had an audience preview. It was the first time we showed it to an audience of about this many people. And the response was that we kept hearing, this is so pleasantly surprising. And people just kept rumbling and they kept talking about the music. And we were like, something's happening. And there was a lot of just this buzz that what we were kept being told is like these tropes we were flipping that we didn't even kind of realize we were flipping. And so there was something where we all looked at each other and we went, what's happening?
Yeah, I remember people warned us because it's in black and white and it's not fully done. No one's gonna laugh at the jokes. No one's gonna respond to the story.
We had been through that with Winnie the Pooh
Right, yes, it definitely happened. And people were just laughing and laughing. It was rolls of laughter. It was just engagement. It was beautiful.
And the best was the moment, the first audience that ever saw, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Frozen, that Hans was the villain. And sitting in an audience with 300 people going, what? It was so magical.
Yeah. And the last thing I just have to say, long before that though, we showed to about a group of this number of folks at Disney, at the Disney company, a live performance of Let It Go, which was about a year before the movie came out, a little more than a year. And everyone's like, this is the most spectacular thing. And we rewrote the whole movie around that song. So I think Let It Go really did something for all of us too. So.
An interesting thing about Let It Go, just as a side, our children were very young at that time, and they were our test audience. We would play things like, this is what we did today, and we'd play it for them. And if they were like, I don't want to hear it again, we were like, we got to go back to the drawing board. But they kept saying, play Let It Go again, again, again. And I was like, I think something weird is happening with this song. So I give the credit to our young children for being our first test audience on that one.
You know, there's one more Let It Go story, because back in those days, Imagineering wasn't really invited over until the movie was done, and usually waited to see how an audience reacted. Then, if it was a hit, that's when we would start working on a ride. Now, fortunately, very close relationships, and we can talk about that more in a minute, but where throughout the process, we're exposed. This was a case where very early on, there was a pencil test, so very crude, of Let It Go, and Chris Montana and other executives over at the studio came over and said, okay, we know it's early, it's going to be black and white. They were warning us the same thing. They said, you've got to come see, because we think we've got something here. And I felt the same way. I mean, I felt like your kids, but in that audience, because we just sat in the theater and literally, I just saw the Academy Award up there, but I did turn to Chris Montana, who was sort of the head of coordinating the music at the studio at the time. And I was like, well, the Oscar goes to, there was no doubt in my mind. And I also said, I don't even care what the rest of the movie is like. We can work with that. So it was great. It was a real moment.
Just one last Let It Go story. After it came out, we were hiking deep in the desert of Arizona. And suddenly, out of nowhere, we hear, Libéré, Libéré. And someone was singing it in French. We never bumped into them, but we heard them.
One last question. Why do you think the relationship between Anna and Elsa resonates the way it does?
Wow, that's a great question, and I don't think we knew that was going to be the case. I will say, to us it meant a lot they were sisters. I think Anna and Elsa, I'm not sure if anyone here's done that. We kind of go, are you an Anna or are you an Elsa? And it's like, they're a lot of people talk about being able to see parts of themselves in these girls. They're flawed, they're real. Elsa has an incredible power, but fear that comes with it, which I think a lot of people have about, are my greatest strengths. Something I can give to this world. And then there's Anna, who is an ordinary hero like a lot of us. She's not perfect, she messes up, and yet she is smart as heck, and she's worthy of being a leader. And I think those kinds of things that we question within ourselves, and to see these two women fight for each other and succeed without it having to be perfect, I feel like is something we've heard a lot from people.
Now we need to know, are you an Anna or an Elsa, Jen?
My Elsa's here, my sister is here, and I am so Anna. The first time we were out here, my microphone was rolling down the stage, and he's the Elsa. We asked, who's the Elsa or Anna in each of these relationships?
I'm an Anna. I feel like I'm the Anna.
I'm an Olaf.
I think I know what I was going to say. I want to be Oaken.
Well, Bruce, we have a long tradition of collaboration between Walt Disney Imagineering and the animation studios. Can you give us a little bit of a understanding of how that process works?
Yeah, and I just sort of tipped the hat there, but a little bit. But there was a time where, this goes way back, Michael Eisner was CEO, but we would wait to see if the movie was a hit, and then Imagineering would start working on things. Over time, we realized the collaboration would be best if we just start working closely together early, and that relationship is great. And especially being able to work creators to creators and have that dialogue, because no matter what we create the parks, a lot of it has to be modified and changed from what is on the screen in order to work in a park, because you're making dimensional worlds that people walk into and have to go through rides. You have animated figures, and there's limitations and constraints. And constraints make for the best design, but we want to make sure we deliver in a respectful way what everybody loves about the films. And so it is essential that we work closely with the directors and writers and people who create the music, because it will change, and have them help us maintain the integrity. The one thing I will say, I get a question a lot from the creators of the films. How will this get into the parks? Because I think that is kind of a goal, is to get things into the parks. And we always say, look, you need a really great character or characters that the guests want to meet. It helps if it's a fantastical world that you can't go anywhere else, not like a city or something that you could go visit, but it's a place that is only from the imagination, you've only seen in the film, and then we can go create that. And then the other piece is really great songs, because music, I always say, the long form media, like a movie or something, really installs the sort of software in people's heads, and the music, a couple of notes of a great song, all you need is like 2 or 3, and it'll trigger the memory of how to feel. And we don't have much time. Like, you go ride the Frozen attraction here, it's not nearly as long as a movie, it's minutes, so we have to get you there fast. And you're probably coming from, God knows why, you've been walking through the park and maybe distracted by something, or your kid is upset. And so we've got to get you right in that mode, which the movies do so well, and the music really is the trigger. So if you talk about a perfect formula for us, this movie, unbelievable characters, a beautiful place to go to. I mean, just look at it, how it comes to life at the park. And you should stay and see it at night if you haven't, because it's absolutely gorgeous at night. But then, the music, that, just so many songs too. So this was a real rich product for us to jump into and bring to life.
Well, Michelle, you were the creative director for the first Frozen attraction that opened only 3 years after the film in the Norway Pavilion at Epcot. So can you tell us how you collaborated to bring that first attraction to life?
Yeah, well, that project started with me going to the studio in Burbank, where there was a screening of the film. We're talking the summer of 13, and I remember the film was not quite in its final stages yet. I believe there were a couple of songs also in there that were later cut, and so it was a very interesting, well, for me also interesting to see that process, because of course it is different than our process of designing attractions. And I knew that the film was in production. I knew the image of Anna and Elsa that was released. What I didn't know, but immediately recognized in the theater, is that the design was inspired by Scandinavia and Norway. The whole production design of the film had these touches everywhere that I recognized. I recognized instantly when I saw the first shot of the castle of Arendelle that it was inspired by a slave church. So, sort of, in my brain, it kind of, there went something off like, oh, that's interesting. And that's how that whole project started. And it started tremendously humble, I would say, in the beginning. But as soon as that film came out in theaters and it went up like a rocket and it just took over the world, we were basically just running to keep up with it. And the project grew and grew and grew and grew. And at some point we had to, put this, a line in the sand, like, okay, this is what we're going to build. And that's what that project became. But yeah, it was a very exciting moment. And working with Jennifer and Mike Giamo, the production designer for the film. And of course also the Lopez's, because they changed a little bit of the lyrics of the music, was just a wonderful experience.
And it goes to the same thing. The reason we went to Norway was because you identified this overlap and confirmed it with everybody creating the movie. But if we had to start from scratch once the movie opened, it would be years before you saw an attraction. This was a way to get something we knew our guests would want as fast as possible into the park. And the attraction needed to be refurbished anyway, so it's just a great fit. We were a little nervous at first. We were like, well, it's not really Norway, should we do this? Once we saw how big the movie was going to be, it was like, like you said, it was just a moment where you say, just go for it. And we're very glad we did, obviously. That's the first of 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting conceit, because you have the Norway Pavilion. If you go to World of Frozen here, then it's all, the inspiration is Frozen the film, right? And Frozen film is in the scenery is inspired by Scandinavia, but we are inspired by what the team did with it and then built our land. The project in Epcot was a little bit of a mixture of both, where we even created a small attraction next to the existing pavilion, where we kind of did it the other way and placed Anna and Elsa in a meet and greet house that we actually found in real Norway. So it was an interesting start of the Frozen adventure that took over our theme parks as well. So, but it's still very popular today, and we just changed some of the mechanics of the audio animatronic characters in that attraction, and it will be ready for many, many years to come.
A fun story about writing the lyrics for that ride. We learned so much about the genius of Imagineering, because sometimes in certain rooms, the boat is just completely going through, 4 lyrics, and that's okay. You can tell a linear
when it's
story.
one boat per room, you can design what they hear from beginning to end. But when there's multiple boats in a room, you can't control what lyric they hear first. So every lyric in that room has to be a good first lyric.
Everything needed to be circular. It was like a strange poem puzzle that we had to do. And it usually was like, hello, welcome.
Yeah, there's a lot of hellos. You're here.
Well, speaking of animation, good segue, Kyle, I think you developed some new state-of-audio animatronic figures for this attraction, right?
We did, and I think, as Imagineers, we're always striving to translate the filmmaker's vision into a physical experience, and we made a big leap forward in terms of audio animatronics with this particular project, because we were moving from projection on faces into these fully articulated faces now that bring this new level of authenticity and emotion to every performance. And so each advancement, whether it was in the number of motors now that allowed the wrists to move, it became more and more real, and to try and help realize the creative vision that Michel had.
First and Ever After was actually the first attraction that we did at Walt Disney Imagineering, where all the audio animatronic figures were fully electric. So it was the first attraction that had that. And ever since, all our audio animatronics are that way. So it was really, in a way, it was a little bit of a test case and then an R&D process. And we learned so much from that project, and every heavily figure-centric attraction we did ever since is based on the technology that was developed for that attraction.
And they had to be electric. The other methods we use, hydraulics and other methods, you can't get the fluidity, and so much of these characters' expressions, especially Elsa's, through the hand gestures and the little moments, and their wrists and arms are very thin, which is beautiful. We look at that and go, oh no. But with electric, because you have to get all these cables and everything through there, but with electric and new skins too, so that they actually move, we were able to do that. So it was a great convergence of what we happened to be working on in the lab at the time, which wasn't really, we didn't think, ready to go into an attraction, but there was no choice, because these characters needed the fluidity and just the scale of the characters. We weren't able then to do the faces. That's why we projected at that time. And fortunately now we've advanced so much that we can actually do all the faces that don't have to be projected, so that it's all skin and the eyes and the facial expressions. But she's singing a song that everybody's watched a billion times, and every little facial feature and eye movement and hand gesture. So we have to do our best to sort of meet that in the attraction.
And it also allowed an amazing collaboration, not just in music and storytelling, but our animators could actually bring those little movements into the rig. So Elsa, who was animated by Wayne Unton on Frozen 1, Frozen 2, and he'll be on Frozen 3, actually animated Elsa for that attraction. So she moves, looks, sounds just like Elsa, and it allowed the highest collaboration.
And that's ultimately our goal. It's to make these characters feel more present, more expressive, and connect to our guests.
Because every 3-year-old knows the choreography. Let it go,
Yes.
let it go.
Well, I know, Michelle, you talked about the trip to Norway helped inspire the attraction, but I understand you guys did some travel as well to Norway for the film. Would you like to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so it's a sore subject for Trent because
I'm still waiting for my trip.
you've got to go. I actually didn't get to go on the research trip on my first Frozen, but our production designers went to Norway, and that was a huge inspiration for the film. And then we got to go between 1 and 2 to Norway, Finland, and Iceland, and we really started to learn. Elsa is Iceland to us. The power of nature, the power of her powers, and then the intimacy and warmth in Norway and the forests in Finland, all of that was really tied to Anna. We got to go to a reindeer sita, so we had the reindeer running in circles around us. We got to walk on a glacier.
Just keep rubbing it in.
I am, yes.
It's fine.
Yeah, we got,
What else did you do?
some of us ate reindeer though. I didn't, no. But what was amazing about it is one of the things I think that's so critical is the, we always say at Disney Animation is we don't want to create a realism, but we do want to ground it in something that's believable. And so for us, the idea of the inspiration of Norway, that it's in every aspect of the rose mauling, the state of churches that you'll see with the vertical designs. Everything about that gives it a sense of it's like an authenticity, but yet we take it to, I always say Mike Giamma would, as the production designer, and Brittany Lee, who's the production designer with him now, they would transcend it and transport us into something that sort of gets larger than our real life. And what's been so amazing, and you know, and I think back, we talk a lot about Walt Disney, the inspiration of the combination of storytelling and innovation together all the time, is every single thing in, you know, the world of Frozen, that this collaboration is, it goes all the way down to, you know, in animation, you gotta make that jar of lutefisk yourself. You're not gonna go buy it. You have to pay attention to those details, and that relationship back and forth that brings it to life through technology, but stays true to every aspect of the design that came into it. All of that started with, you know, those walks in the forest and in the small towns. There's an Arendelle in Norway, and so it's an amazing thing how that once that starts, that it's almost like that thread never breaks.
I also want to, well, our research trip was going on the Frozen cruise. It started in Scotland and then went to Norway and Iceland. But I wanted to talk about that amazing moment on your research trip. Jen had this sort of flash inside a cave, right?
Inside a volcano.
Inside a volcano in an ice cave that led to the story of Frozen 2. So the story comes from everywhere and inspiration comes from everywhere. And Jen came back and was like, there's a journey that Elsa's going on, and it's going to be deep into something icy. Here's a picture where I thought of it.
And we went to Norway as well. We went in the footsteps of the filmmakers and did a trip ourselves for our projects. Not only to see with our own eyes what the filmmakers saw, and like I said, our main inspiration, of course, is the film. But it was really helpful for us to also see, you know, we went only to Norway, but to see that country and to see the architecture, to see the culture. Because for us, of course, as theme park designers, our audience is walking through what we design. They can look left, right, up, down. So there's a lot that we have to sort of invent that, although of course the filmmakers provided a lot, there's still things that we have to think about and so like make up and then create what I actually really liked what you said, like a believable world, right? And also when you see World of Frozen, there's some things that, of course, that are almost one-to-one from the film, and of course we have the iconic statements that we recreated from the film, but we also needed to add some buildings to our village that had functions that we couldn't really copy from the film because, you know, the doorways were too small or you name it. So, but believability is key here also for us, because when you look at our lands, you know, we can't have people walk a day and a night into the bitter cold to get to the ice palace, as Elsa did in the movie. So our ice palace is right there next to the Arendelle Castle, you know, above the village. And you don't really think about like, oh yeah, these things are like all so close to each other, and in the movie they're like vast distances. But you look at it and you accept it, because it's done in a believable way.
Can I mention one thing when you go that blew me away, just in terms of how beautifully it's designed, which is if you stand back and you look at you get the shot of the entire land. You've got Elsa's ice palace, her isolation, her palace of isolation up there against the mountain with the cold. Then you have the warmth of Arendelle that's completely on. And then when you look at the ice palace, the castle, you've got, they chose to do the version that's the end of Frozen, where Elsa has put her ice accents. So the castle shows the end of the movie where you're seeing the unity of these two girls able to come together. So you're actually watching emotionally when you look, you're seeing the story of Frozen, just taking it in by looking at the landscape. And I thought that was so beautiful.
Thank you.
And it is interesting when you get into designing things that you don't have to do in the movie, because literally, and I'm sure when you guys first got involved with Imagineering, you probably didn't think we'd come and ask the question of, what does a trash can look like in Arendelle? But at the end of the day, we have to think about those things.
They're beautiful trash cans.
Michelle is very good at that.
We're so proud.
I highly recommend throwing something away in the Frozen Arendelle world.
So you invented new locations, but you picked things that were existing in the film to provide landmarks and icons throughout the land. It's quite inspiring how you created things that didn't exist in the film, like the restaurant, for example. There's no restaurant in the film, but you created one here for the boutique.
Yeah, and that's where those trips were really handy, because I saw details there in the architecture that we then incorporated in our design. We designed our own buildings with the functions that it needed to have, and also a composition. I mean, the thing is, in the movie, you guys are like blessed that you can curate every shot exactly how you want it. But for us, it's a lot harder because we have all kinds of different sightlines. Sightlines actually are quite challenging for us. You approach things from many different ways. So the composition of the village and the added buildings that we designed really was quite a puzzle to make look good. And I'm so happy with the silhouette of the land. As you approach from Adventure Way, the end of the promenade, you see it reflecting in the water. It's just beautiful. But yeah, you play with the toolkit from Frozen, and we placed all the monuments from Frozen there, the things, because we have to establish, of course, to our guests that they're stepping into the kingdom of Arendelle. That's what people come for, that's what they want to see. But if you really, analyze it, of course, the composition and how we position things is different from in the film, but we have to kind of do that to
use technology in support of the story. And right now, this represents kind of a new chapter for us. The pace of change within our industry is happening faster than ever. And so we've got this incredible team that is in Zurich, Switzerland, our R&D Imagineering team, that is building software that helps us translate the work that is done from an animation perspective to these complex audio animatronics in a way that we've never done before. So it allows us to develop these figures in the most authentic way possible. So it's really something that we're kind of precision engineering, these advanced materials, these small electrical motors are being created, and the digital animation really comes together to create something that's emotionally resonant and really sophisticated. And then from a special effects perspective, you guys have continued to push the boundaries of what you're doing inside the park to bring those experiences to life as well.
Yeah, I mean, we use special effects, of course, to enhance our scenes and enhance our experiences. We always use the technology with the notion that it's the story first, right? So it's driven by what we want to achieve from a story perspective. But yeah, we are so blessed with the opportunity with the possibilities these days in technology, what we can do versus 20 years ago or so. It's just like, it's almost like the sky is the limit these days, which I think some people have probably already noticed also online of you know, something new in the lineup that is just amazing.
I think we have a video of Elsa, if I'm not mistaken, from the attraction. So.
And there she is.
There she is. Well done.
Guess what she's singing?
I can hear it. So, obviously one of the newest inventions, I think everyone's probably seen this on social media, is Olaf, right? So, what can you tell us about our dear friend Olaf?
Well, Olaf is our most advanced robotic character that we've built to date. And we've had this history, of course, over the last few years of building these robots faster than ever. We had our BDX droids that were over 2 years ago that were developed by our team in Zurich. We also launched Herbie the robot for Fantastic Four to support that. But this is our first animated character that we brought to life. And so, of course, people have expectations that when they meet Olaf, that he's true to the film, and ultimately we want to deliver something that meets those expectations. And so the animation has to be incredibly precise in order to do that. And we were able to partner with Walt Disney Animation Studios in order to do that. And the actual animators that worked on the film, Hiram Osmond and Daryl Johnson, to take that artist intent and map it to that particular robot. Now, Olaf obviously is very popular. I think more popular than we had originally expected. The response has been overwhelming. And so you'll have an opportunity to see him in the lagoon in front of the castle, working hard. And so unfortunately today, he won't be here. It's a shame that he's here because he's working so hard. He's got a lot of work to do in order to be able to do that. So you have to be able to go ahead and see him on the land. But it's what? I guess we couldn't do a show and not bring Olaf, of course. But what's amazing is obviously we've done so much work to bring him to life, and it's really a version of artificial intelligence called reinforcement learning that brings this incredible character to life. And if you see, he's sitting on two beautiful snowballs, and
oh no, is his voice not working?
Somehow he has lost his voice.
He's been working too hard.
He was at the party too late.
Yeah, I guess so. It was a long night last night. But those two snowballs in his feet, he actually was walking quite loud, and the team in Zurich used reinforcement learning to incent him to walk quieter. It's like my 6-year-old daughter upstairs. I'd like her to walk a little lighter, but what he does now is perform in a way that is true to how he walks as a part of that overall experience.
Well, and also the walking was interesting. Our other robots, they just pick up their feet and go flat. He has to do a heel-toe walk. Otherwise, again, you just don't. He doesn't look right. Because you know what he looks like in the movie.
Yeah.
He can't talk, but he can give a high five.
He's
High
saying
three,
very
actually.
fine.
High three. All right. Well done, Olaf.
All right, if you want to hear Olaf, you're going to have to go to World of Frozen.
Yeah. Speaking of the movement. No, it's never going to happen. He's going to leave me hanging.
No Norway story.
Yeah, to what Kyle mentioned, the movement is so authentic. I'm not even going to try. It's so authentic, and like you said, animators from the animation department that had animated Olaf for years worked with the team and really tried to capture that innocence of how he moves, that childlike waddle that he has. It's so perfect, and one of the movements I love is when he looks up at you as a guest, his little belly kind of counterbalances things, and I was talking to Kyle about that the other day. Just like, you guys nailed that little movement, and it feels so Olaf.
It does, and part of what's so important.
It was a union break.
Yeah, that's right. He's out of here.
And now you're stuck with us.
I know. And really, again, I think what's incredible.
Josh did the
Oh
most.
yeah, absolutely. Work closely with Josh in order to Josh Gad in order to bring him to life in the most authentic way possible. And he's recording lines specifically for the show here in Paris. We have a great, in order to bring this character to life, it takes a village, and the team obviously in Zurich, and there's the team there. Really worked hard to do so, but we have great partnerships with technology companies like NVIDIA, and the ability to deliver that character really comes from using the latest and greatest in chips that they produce, as well as software to help simulate and bring him to life. So
yeah, it is interesting. In that little snowman is some of the most advanced technology being used in AI and other places in the world. We think we're doing it for a very good reason, bringing joy and happiness and warm hugs to the world. So it is a great relationship to have. The other thing to know about characters like Olaf and where these kind of advancements are so important, in the earlier days, we had to introduce Olaf as a walk-around character with a human inside an outfit, which, you could hug, but the scale is so off, and so much of what makes a character is the scale. It's the same thing when we talk about how the proportions of Elsa and Anna and the other characters, are so important to deliver correctly. It's the same thing with a character like Olaf. Out of scale, you lose the charm. You get it to scale right, and all the animation and motion and everything else right, and it really helps you suspend disbelief, and I think everybody really believes they've met Olaf, which
And how do we know there's not a child in there? Are we sure?
a child would have been louder, I think.
And this is really just the start. We're going to have more characters wandering our lands in the future.
So storytelling obviously is also told through music. And we have a new show here at our World of Frozen that doesn't exist elsewhere, a celebration in Arendelle, and you created a new song for that. So how did you do that?
Well, I'm not sure we would have done it if we hadn't known Donna Harrell, who runs entertainment for Disneyland Paris, and we worked with.
We go way back on a live show back in decades ago.
And we worked with Mateo and Fan to find a moment for the song in the Snowflower Festival. Our first job was Finding Nemo the musical in Orlando, and we just have so many great memories of being in the parks and writing stuff and seeing the guests enjoy it, that we wanted to have that experience again with this.
And they had come up with the Salmon Comps Festival, the Snowflower Festival, and because we've been in the parks as guests with our own family, we wanted to capture just the joy of what it feels like when a kingdom divided comes together through love, over fear. And that joy is hopefully in the hands up. We want people dancing. We want people feeling joy, because I think the world needs a little bit more of it right now.
Amen. By the way, we all love Donna Harrell too. So now we're here. We have our World of Frozen open. The guests are visiting it. We got to see it in the last couple of days, got to experience it. The film translated into 3D. What are your reactions? I'm throwing this out to everyone.
Well, I'll say walking in the park was amazing. The attractions, the look, but it's the details that I love. Little things. We were able to find a Bruni, the salamander, hiding below the lighthouse. But also, one of my favorite things was the queue to go see Anna and Elsa. There's a little height chart from when they were young girls, and I love that detail because it just adds history. But I think we need a week in the park to really soak up everything.
That could be arranged.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I have cried maybe 7 times, and he makes fun of me.
Much more.
Because it was like, it'll be the little things, like even, I mean, obviously it's taking the world in when I got to meet Olaf for the first time. But it's the little things, like the attention to details, and it was, someone commented on one of the, what I love is all of the cast members take Arendellian personas. They name themselves and they become Arendellians. In this, you know, meeting a cast member and meeting Oaken's there, meeting Mossy the troll. It's like their family, and it is so truly immersive. You really feel like you're in Arendelle, and for me, and all of us as filmmakers and those who built it, and it's one reaction, but also thinking about if I got to be that child that came into Arendelle, and it being able to truly immerse myself in that world. I think that's part of what gets me really emotional.
I turned around to Jen and she was just staring at a cast member's jacket, just crying. because of that detail. I mean, it's incredible.
I also think about myself as a child, you know, dressing up. Little House on the Prairie was a big thing when I was growing up. And I would go to 2nd grade fully dressed like Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I feel when I step into Arendelle that same magic and inspiration, that I am a princess in this place. I can feel what it feels like to be in the movie and to feel like I'm part of something really special and magical happening. And so I hope every kid and every adult feels that 2nd grade Laura Ingalls Wilder inspiration when they cross that bridge, except Anna and Elsa.
I think for me it's like a mixture of emotions because I have been fortunate to be part of this Frozen adventure for 13 years now. 13 years of my career, every single day I have been involved in these wonderful stories. And so today is when we open it to the public, and now you guys all own it. And so it's a little bit of like handing over the baby. And so yeah, it has been an amazing, yeah, like I said, adventure that I would have want to have missed for a lifetime. So I'm so grateful, and I'm so glad that as a European also we have this wonderful World of Frozen here also in our European Disney destination. So it also makes it a lot easier for family and friends to come see it. So I'm very grateful for that too, and I hope everybody will enjoy it.
Well, I think you're gonna be a very proud father, because we were at rope drop this morning at 8 o'clock, and the smiles on the guests' faces, they were just beaming, glowing, looking at all of those details that the team worked so hard on to make happen. And that's ultimately what we do it for.
Yeah, no, it's true. We always say our product is ultimately emotion, even though we create these beautiful things. And it really is, this day I think is the most special day, more so for Michelle and the team that actually built this, but for all of us at Imagineering to be able to, bring such a powerful, franchise and characters and worlds and music into a new medium and allow the guests to actually go in and kind of role play, is special, but ultimately it's the reactions of the guests that we look for. I will also add, Michelle has been on this journey for a long time, and if you think what he's done, everyone is a different personality. Attraction is basically, the same or very similar, but in creating these worlds, when you think about, if you ever go to Hong Kong, there is an Arendelle and a World of Frozen there, but you have to discover it, and it sort of embraces it a different way, and there's a mountain behind it, it's very different. Here, this needed to be something different. It needed to be something that would draw, the icon that would draw people back and be powerful enough to make people want to, just go all the way back to in the back side of the park. And I think he's done that beautifully. It opens up in a different way. The storytelling of the mountain that you described so beautifully, Jen. All of that, it isn't just, hey, Michelle, do what you did in Hong Kong. It's like, no, do it again, but do it differently and as powerfully. And make it unique to this site, which it is. I mean, this is a very special world of Frozen, and I think just to have that body of water where we can have the Sunflower Festival, and just it's really amazing And I think with each one we learn, and that's what's great. And I'm excited to go watch the guests today, because that's really what we look forward to, and just see that reaction. We tend to watch the guests watching, what we create as to bring us the joy.
Well, that brings us to a close. I want to thank you very much for the inspiration of the Frozen films, and for the majesty of what we've just created out in the park. And hopefully all of you have had a chance to go see it. And if you haven't, I hope you rush directly to go see it. But can we give a round of applause and thank our guests?